Greetings, Bulba Tube fans. Shangrenard here, and we are going to have a little discussion about Pokemon and breeding. The whole egg in the daycare thing is messed up. In this video, I will walk you through Professor Bulba's research on Pokemon eggs. Professor Bulba and Lucky Sean already covered the Is Execute an Egg or Seed video, so we won't touch on those egg/seed-like Pokemon, nor will we be looking at theories relating to how eggs come to be. Instead, by special request, we will take a look at Kangaskhan and how it gets its baby. But to understand that, we need to look at some weird stuff that goes on behind the closed doors at the daycare. Or in some cases, doesn't go on. You'll see what I mean. First, let's take a look at Pokemon that can't breed. The undiscovered egg group is filled with Pokemon that are unable to breed. That is to say, these Pokemon cannot, under any legitimate circumstance, create an egg. Every single legendary Pokemon except Fione and Manaphy are in said group. So are all of the unknown and all baby Pokemon. For some reason, Nidorina and Nidoqueen are also in this group. Nidoran, female, is able to breed, but I guess it goes into menopause upon evolving. The idea of an innocent Nidoran being thrashed by a Nidoking seems anything but child appropriate. But keep in mind, in the game, it has been said that no one has ever seen Pokemon breed. Officially. Personally, I think there are things going on at that daycare that I care not to know about. Now let's take a look at some Pokemon that you would not expect to be able to breed with each other. The most famous case, of course, is the small Skitty and the huge Wailord. I can't even imagine how that would work. Other special mentions include Slugma and Frillish. Not really sure how Liquid Magma would mate with a jellyfish, or for that matter, anything at all. With the exception of Generation 2, Ditto cannot be hatched from an egg. However, it can breed with any other egg group except that undiscovered egg group. Perhaps one of the weirder couples in breeding is Zangoose and Seviper, who, according to the Pokedex entries, are mortal enemies. Maybe they took that saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, a bit too seriously. In the Pokemon Mansion journals located on Cinnabar Island, Mew is described as being able to give birth. The journals state that Mew gave birth to Mewtwo on February 6th. So does that mean that some Pokemon do not come from eggs? Well, it's hard to say for sure. Do keep in mind that these recordings were before the concept of breeding and eggs were introduced in Generation 2, and even in later generations, none of the daycare workers seem to understand what's going on. Which leads me to believe they aren't doing a good job of watching my Pokemon. Another thing that has always baffled me about Pokemon is how they magically acquire items. For example, upon evolution from Abra to Kadabra, it gets a spoon. Upon its next evolution, it gets another spoon, and in its Mega Evolution goes to Costco and buys them in bulk. Other Pokemon that get items include Hypno, who has a pendulum. But what is even weirder is Pokemon who acquire items moments after being hatched from an egg. Upon being hatched, Farfetch'd somehow finds a leek. Timber finds a giant piece of lumber. Klefki, who according to its Pokedex is a key collector, is somehow born with keys. Do they all just happen to find these items upon hatching? Or are these Pokemon born with these items? Either doesn't really make any sense. Perhaps what is even more bizarre is Kangaskhan and Cubone. Their bringing into the world makes no sense. How on earth does a Kangaskhan hatch from an egg with a baby in its pouch? Seriously, how does that happen? And this is crazy. The odd part is that the gender ratio for Kangaskhan's are 100% female. That means that there are no male Kangaskhan's. Of course, there is always the option of Kangaskhan's breeding with other Pokemon, but that doesn't explain the baby in the pouch. Technically, a Pokemon could reproduce on its own through asexual reproduction, meaning it would literally just bud a baby off itself. In real life, an example of this would be certain species of jellyfish or coral that can on their own produce an offspring. This may explain how Kangaskhan's come to be. And then there's Cubone. It's said that it wears the skull of its dead mother. Does that mean if I put a male and a female Marowak in a daycare and it has an egg that I'm giving it a death sentence? What if I make it have two eggs? Do they share a skull? Or what about if it's a male Marowak as a father and a Ditto as a mother? Then where does the skull come from? So many questions, and no way to get answers. And finally, one last weird thing about Pokemon eggs. Pokemon eggs can get Pokerus. Yup, that's right. An innocent egg can get a virus from its teammate before it's even hatched. Welcome to the world, little one! Good thing Pokerus is actually beneficial.
I'm Sabrina. Play with me. Play with me.
Whoa, guys. Better do as she says. Click on the link and learn about a potential mistake in the badges from Generation 1. Also give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Shangrenard, and I hate to say it, but I saw your mom today. She was asleep on Route 12. Remember, Ekans backwards is snake, Arbok backwards is cobra, and Muck backwards is bleh.